I like using video in my classes because I think it turns drab into exciting. So now that I've showed you 4 different ways that I use the videos I make, now comes the takeaway part. How can you do these back at your office? I'd like to introduce you to one of my favorite free tools for making your own videos. It's called Jing, J-I-N-G, and it's produced by a company called TechSmith. It's free software that allows you to do video captures of anything you have on your desktop. I use this in a lot of different ways. In my legal writing class, I can put up a student paper, and in addition to having previously made any comments in the margin about specific grammatical errors, I can give the student the whole overview of the paper, as though we were sitting face-to-face in a conference. I can also use it to give a specific website demonstration. I'll give you an example. Let's say I had sent my students to the National Constitution Center, and I wanted them to look at a specific portion of it. Rather than have them wander and get lost in the whole website, I could do this. I bring up the website, and then I move my cursor over the Jing half sun that's at the very top of the screen. You may not have even noticed that it was there. Each of its 3 rays only come out when you move your cursor there, and each has a specific function: capture, history of what you've captured, and your settings function. What I would do to capture this is click on these crosshairs, and they would allow me to target exactly the specific part that I wanted my students to see. Then I have choices here. I could either capture this as a still image, or I could capture this as a video. Let me show you what happens when I click the video link. First of all, I get a nice 3-second countdown, which is good so I can organize my thoughts. And then I see the sprockets moving here, which lets me know that the video is actually working. I would then narrate my video, and I could go back and forth, I could pause, I could talk about specific issues in the web tour, and then when I'm done, I click stop. What happens then is I see a preview, which I can check by clicking here, so I can organize my thoughts. And then I can either upload it to a website or save it right on my desktop. It's a very handy way of making sure my students stay on target when I'm taking them to a website, instead of perhaps getting lost or confused and spending time looking at things that aren't really relevant to what I'm trying to teach them. Now, as Jing is a free program, there are a few restrictions on its use. First, no individual Jing video can be longer than 5 minutes. However, when you are recording it, it does give you a countdown, so you can time your video accordingly. If you want to do something longer than that, as I have done, I merely make it in segments of no more than 5 minutes. Another restriction on Jing is that you cannot edit. So if you are only comfortable with perfection, you may find yourself recording over and over again. If you don't mind the occasional bobble, the lack of editing functionality is not a problem. I must say that the student response to the Jing videos has been very positive. Sometimes I use it to make specific short videos targeting a specific student's problems, and I even address them in the video by name. And they seem to be very thrilled with the fact that I've taken the time to make something just for them. It's easy and it's fun. I'd like to show you another interesting tool you can use, especially in online courses, to help build that sense of community, to make your students realize that there is a real instructor on the other end of that keyboard. You may have noticed that in other of my online courses, I had a little reel video of my own face. Well, my laptop broke, and I didn't want to lose that continuity of contact with my students. So I looked around and found a site called Voki, V-O-K-I, as you see right here, which allowed me to create a little speaking avatar of myself, so I could also let the students know that I'm communicating with them, even if they can't see my real face. Here's an example of what it looks and sounds like. Next class, we will start our studying of the paralegal profession and legal ethics. As you can see, it kind of sort of looks like me. It definitely sounds like me. I've actually customized it by putting our own school campus in the background. So how do you make one of these? Well, you can go to the Voki homepage and sign in. It's free to sign in. And once you do, you'll get a website that looks like this, which allows you to create your own Voki. You create them one at a time. You can customize them to look any way you like. I think they even have some options of looking like Abraham Lincoln, for example. Customize your character. Yeah, you could look at very important persons. You could look like Abe Lincoln. You could look like Buddha. You could look like Ronald Reagan, and narrate with your own voice. The way it looks is not as important to me as the fact that it allows you to share your own voice with the students. So once you've constructed your Voki, you can update the message that you want to tell your students very easily. And the neat thing about this is that as the message changes, the Voki avatar's speaking style changes as well. So the lips are always in sync with what you're saying, so it looks like a fun animated cartoon character. You can give it a voice in one of 3 ways. I like to use a microphone. I can click on here, I can set up my microphone, allow it, close, and if I were to hit record here, I would be recording the new voice of my Voki. The second best option here is to click on the telephone. What you can do now is type in your phone number, ask them to call you. When Voki calls you, you can dictate what you want to say, and that sound file is kept and added to your face so that, again, it speaks with your voice, the lips move in sync with what you say. It's pretty natural. The third option here is to type your text. If you really can't talk, if you don't like the way your voice sounds recorded, if you have lost your voice due to laryngitis, you could type your text in here, and a pre-recorded voice would speak it for you. Again, the lips would be in sync, but it wouldn't be your voice, so I don't think it's the best possible option. I just recommend Voki to people who are trying to spice up their class with their own personality.
I hope this video has been useful to you and helping you develop ways in which you might bring video, your own video, into your classes.
Because this is an
Good luck
unpaid version,
and happy
the
recording.
longest Voki you can make is only 60 seconds. But I find that's really all that I need to acquaint my students with the goals for each of our online classes. I'm not using this to give the whole lecture, just to provide an introduction, and it seems to work just fine for my students.